Everyone. Today I want to talk about something that many of us struggle with: holding on to people who have already let go of us. The phrase forget who forgets you is not about bitterness or revenge. It's about self respect, growth, and emotional well being. We all have experienced moments when we give our time, love, and energy to someone only to receive little or nothing in return. It could be a friend who never checks in, a partner who takes us for granted, or a colleague who forgets our efforts. The hardest part is realizing that not everyone will appreciate us the way we appreciate them. Not everyone will value you the way you value them. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, yet it is essential for emotional well-being. We often believe that if we are kind, loyal, and giving, others will naturally reciprocate with the same level of care and appreciation. However, reality does not always work that way. People have different priorities, different ways of expressing themselves, and sometimes they simply do not recognize the effort and love we put into a relationship. It can be painful when we give our time, energy, and affection to someone who does not acknowledge or appreciate it. We may find ourselves questioning our worth, wondering if we are not enough or if we did something wrong to deserve such neglect. But the truth is, their inability to value us has nothing to do with our worth and everything to do with who they are and where they are in life. Some people take others for granted because they are used to receiving without giving. Others may be too self-absorbed or distracted by their own struggles to truly see and appreciate the people around them. And in some cases, people simply do not feel the same way about us as we do about them, no matter how much we care. It is natural to feel disappointed, but it is important to remember that our value does not decrease just because someone fails to recognize it. Instead of exhausting ourselves trying to make someone see our worth, we should focus on those who already do. There will always be people who genuinely appreciate us, who respect our presence in their lives, and who are willing to give as much as they receive. These are the relationships worth nurturing. When we accept that not everyone will value us the way we value them, we free ourselves from the cycle of unmet expectations and unnecessary heartache. We learn to stop chasing validation from those who do not deserve our energy and instead invest in connections that bring us joy, fulfillment, and mutual appreciation. Holding on to one-sided relationships drains emotional energy. When we continue to invest in people who do not reciprocate our efforts, we slowly deplete our own emotional and mental well-being. Relationships, whether friendships, romantic partnerships, or family bonds, should be a two-way street where both individuals contribute to the connection. But when only one person is making the effort, the relationship becomes unbalanced and exhausting. The constant feeling of being unappreciated, unheard, or undervalued can take a toll on self-esteem and inner peace. It often leads to self-doubt, making us wonder if we are doing something wrong or if we are simply not enough. We may find ourselves overcompensating, giving even more, hoping that eventually the other person will notice our worth and return the same level of love and commitment. However, this rarely happens, and the more we give to a one-sided relationship, the more we lose parts of ourselves in the process. It becomes a cycle of disappointment where we continue to chase after someone's approval, ignoring the signs that they are not invested in us the way we are in them. Letting go of such relationships is not easy, especially when we deeply care about the person involved, but it is necessary for self-preservation. Choosing to walk away from people who do not prioritize us does not mean we are bitter or heartless. It means we recognize our own value. When we stop pouring energy into those who do not appreciate it, we free ourselves from emotional exhaustion and create space for healthy relationships where love, respect, and effort are mutual. We owe it to ourselves to protect our energy, set boundaries, and surround ourselves with people who genuinely care, rather than clinging to connections that leave us feeling drained and unfulfilled. Letting go creates space for better, healthier connections. Many times, we hold on to people and relationships out of habit, fear, or emotional attachment, even when they no longer serve us. We convince ourselves that things will get better, that people will change, or that the history we share is reason enough to keep holding on. But in reality, refusing to let go only keeps us stuck in relationships that limit our growth and prevent us from experiencing the love, respect, and support we truly deserve. When we finally make the difficult decision to walk away from those who no longer value us, we make room for new and healthier connections to enter our lives. Letting go is not just about removing toxic or one-sided relationships. It is also about opening our hearts and minds to the possibility of something better. It allows us to build relationships that are based on mutual care, where our presence is valued, our efforts are appreciated, and we do not have to constantly prove our worth. It also gives us the opportunity to reconnect with ourselves, to rediscover who we are outside of draining relationships, and to focus on personal growth and self-love. The fear of being alone often holds us back from letting go, but what we fail to realize is that being alone is far better than being surrounded by people who make us feel unseen and unimportant. Once we release what no longer serves us, we attract people who align with our values, who reciprocate our energy, and who contribute positively to our lives. It is a process of transformation that may feel painful at first, but in the end it leads to deeper, more fulfilling relationships that bring us peace, happiness, and emotional security. Self-worth comes from within, not from external validation. Many people spend their lives seeking approval from others, believing that their value is determined by how much they are liked, appreciated, or acknowledged. It is natural to want to be seen, loved, and respected, but when our sense of worth depends on external validation, we place our happiness in the hands of others. This becomes dangerous because people are unpredictable and their opinions, feelings, and actions can change at any moment. When we rely on others to make us feel worthy, we become vulnerable to disappointment, insecurity, and self-doubt. We may overextend ourselves trying to please people who do not truly care about us, or settle for relationships that do not fulfill us, just to avoid the discomfort of being alone. But true self-worth is something that must come from within. It is about recognizing our value regardless of who acknowledges it. It means understanding that our worth is not based on how many friends we have, how many people praise us, or whether someone chooses to stay in our lives. When we cultivate a strong sense of self-worth, we no longer feel the need to prove ourselves to anyone. We stop chasing people who do not value us, and we set boundaries to protect our peace. We learn to appreciate ourselves for who we are instead of constantly seeking reassurance from others. This shift in mindset allows us to build genuine confidence where our happiness is no longer dependent on external circumstances. It empowers us to walk away from toxic relationships, to embrace solitude when necessary, and to focus on personal growth. True self-worth is unshaken by the opinions or actions of others. It is a deep understanding that we are valuable regardless of who chooses to recognize it. Forgetting does not mean you stop caring, it means prioritizing yourself. There is a common misconception that moving on from someone who does not value you is an act of coldness or indifference. Many people struggle with the idea of letting go because they believe it means they must erase all memories, feelings, and care they once had for a person. But forgetting in this sense does not mean we stop caring entirely. It means we stop allowing that person to have power over our emotions and well-being. It is possible to appreciate the role someone once played in our lives while also recognizing that they no longer contribute to our happiness or growth. We can remember the good times, acknowledge the lessons we learned, and still choose to move forward without them. Prioritizing yourself does not mean you lack compassion. It means you understand that your emotional health is just as important as anyone else's. When we hold on to people who have already let go of us, we are the ones who suffer. We constantly wonder why they do not care the way we do, why they do not make an effort, and why we are the only ones holding on. This only leads to frustration and heartache. Instead, choosing to prioritize yourself means shifting your focus from what you have lost to what you can gain. It means making decisions that benefit your mental and emotional well-being, even if they are difficult. It means understanding that you deserve relationships where your presence is valued, not questioned. Forgetting who forgets you is not about erasing someone from your life completely. It is about shifting your energy toward people and experiences that bring you peace and fulfillment. It is an act of self-love, a choice to stop clinging to what no longer serves you, and a step toward building a life where you are your own priority. One-sided relationships hinder personal growth and happiness. When we invest our time, energy, and emotions into relationships that are not reciprocated, we unknowingly stunt our own growth. It is natural to want to nurture the connections we care about, but when the effort is not mutual, we end up carrying a burden that is not ours to bear. One-sided relationships leave us feeling emotionally exhausted, unappreciated, and often questioning our worth. We may start compromising our own needs, neglecting our goals, or changing parts of ourselves just to maintain a connection that is not meant to last. This kind of dynamic creates an emotional imbalance where we are constantly giving but receiving little to nothing in return. Over time, this prevents us from reaching our full potential because we are so consumed by trying to fix a relationship that was never meant to be one-sided in the first place. Instead of focusing on our personal aspirations, we become distracted by trying to make someone else see our worth. Instead of growing into the best version of ourselves, we shrink, hoping that by doing so, we will fit into someone else's life. But true happiness and growth come from relationships that uplift us, challenge us in healthy ways, and bring out the best in us. When we free ourselves from one-sided relationships, we regain control over our time and emotion. We rediscover our passions, reconnect with people who genuinely care, and start making choices that benefit our own well-being. Walking away from an unbalanced relationship is not a loss, it is a gain. A step toward a life filled with love, respect, and meaningful connections that allow us to grow and thrive. Surround yourself with people who genuinely appreciate and support you. The people we choose to have in our lives play a significant role in shaping our emotional and mental well-being. When we surround ourselves with individuals who truly value us, we feel seen, heard, and supported. These are the people who celebrate our successes, stand by us during difficult times, and encourage us to be the best version of ourselves. They do not take us for granted or make us question. However, when we allow people who do not appreciate us to remain in our lives, we subject ourselves to unnecessary emotional distress. Constantly seeking validation from those who fail to see our worth leads to self-doubt, insecurity, and emotional exhaustion. It is essential to recognize when a relationship is one-sided and be willing to walk away from those who do not value our presence. Choosing to surround ourselves with supportive people does not mean cutting off everyone at the first sign of imperfection. Rather, it means prioritizing relationships that bring mutual joy, respect, and appreciation. True friends and loved ones do not require us to beg for attention or prove our worth. They make us feel valued simply because they care. By choosing to invest in these relationships, we create a positive environment where love and respect are freely given and received. The quality of the people we surround ourselves with has a direct impact on our happiness, confidence, and overall well-being. It is far better to have a small circle of people who genuinely appreciate and support us than a large group of individuals who only engage with us when it is convenient for them. Moving on helps you build a stronger, more fulfilling life. Holding on to people who no longer serve a purpose in our lives keeps us stuck in the past, preventing us from growing into the person we are meant to be. Many people fear moving on because they associate it with loss, but in reality, it is a necessary step toward gaining something better. When we release relationships that no longer contribute to our happiness, we create space for new opportunities, personal growth, and deeper connections with people who truly value us. Moving on is not an easy process, especially when we have invested time, love, and energy into a relationship. It can feel uncomfortable and even painful to let go of someone we once cared about. However, clinging to relationships that do not serve us only delays our progress and keeps us from experiencing the full potential of life. Growth requires change, and sometimes that change involves walking away from people who no longer align with our values or goals. The journey of moving on allows us to rediscover our strengths, set new priorities, and build a future that is not dependent on the approval or presence of others. It teaches us resilience, self-love, and the importance of focusing on what truly makes us happy. As we move forward, we begin to attract experiences and relationships that align with our evolving sense of self. We gain clarity, confidence, and a deeper understanding of what we deserve. Moving on does not mean forgetting the past. It means learning from it, growing beyond it, and stepping into a more fulfilling and purposeful life. Stop waiting for people who have already moved on. One of the most painful things in life is realizing that someone we deeply care about has already emotionally detached from us while we continue to hold on. It is natural to hope for reconciliation or for things to go back to the way they used to be, but waiting for someone who has already moved on only prolongs our own suffering. Time is one of the most valuable things we have, and wasting it on people who do not reciprocate our feelings or efforts only leads to disappointment and emotional exhaustion. The longer we wait for someone to return, the more we neglect ourselves, our happiness, and our future. It is important to recognize when someone has made the decision to move forward without us, and accept that their journey no longer includes us in the way we may have hoped. Acceptance is not easy, but it is necessary for healing. Instead of waiting for someone who is not thinking about us, we should shift our focus towards self-improvement, new opportunities, and people who genuinely want to be part of our lives. Life continues to move forward, and we must move with it rather than staying stuck in a place of longing and unfulfilled expectations. Letting go does not mean we have to forget the good memories or disregard the impact someone had on our lives. It simply means choosing to prioritize ourselves instead of holding on to something that no longer exists. Once we stop waiting for people who have already moved on, we open ourselves up to new experiences, new relationships, and a sense of inner peace that comes from knowing we are no longer trapped in the past. Never forget your own value and importance. In a world where we often seek approval from others, it is easy to forget that our worth is not determined by how people treat us. People come and go, and not everyone will recognize or appreciate our value, but their inability to see our worth does not make us any less valuable. Our self-worth should not be dependent on someone else's actions, opinions, or presence in our lives. We must remind ourselves that we are important, worthy, and deserving of love and respect, regardless of who chooses to stay or leave. Forgetting our own value can lead to self-doubt, insecurity, and the habit of accepting less than we deserve. We may find ourselves settling for one-sided relationships, tolerating disrespect, or constantly seeking validation from others just to feel good enough. However, true self-worth comes from within, from the understanding that we are whole on our own and do not need external validation to feel complete. When we recognize our own value, we stop chasing people who do not appreciate us. We set healthy boundaries, demand respect, and prioritize our own happiness. We attract better relationships because we no longer tolerate being undervalued. Remembering our worth also means practicing self-love, taking care of our mental and emotional well-being, and surrounding ourselves with people who uplift us rather than bring us down. We are all worthy of love, kindness, and respect, not because of what we do for others, but simply because we exist. The moment we stop looking for validation from the wrong places and start believing in ourselves is the moment we truly embrace our own power and potential. Letting go of people who do not value you is an act of self-love. Many people hesitate to walk away from one-sided relationships because they fear being alone or feel guilty for giving up on someone they care about. However, letting go is not about abandoning people. It is about choosing to prioritize your own emotional well-being. Staying in a relationship where you are not valued only leads to disappointment, self-doubt, and exhaustion. It makes you question your worth, constantly wonder what you did wrong, and overanalyze why the other person is not putting in the same effort as you. The truth is, you cannot force someone to see your value, nor should you have to. If someone truly cares about you, they will make an effort to show it. When they don't, it is a clear sign that it is time to move on. Letting go is a way of telling yourself that you deserve better. It is an act of self-respect, a declaration that you will no longer tolerate being overlooked, undervalued, or taken for granted. It is about acknowledging that you cannot grow in an environment where you are constantly striving to prove your worth. Walking away does not mean you never cared. It means you have chosen to care about yourself just as much as you once cared about the other person. It means understanding that self-love is not selfish. It is necessary. You are not obligated to hold on to relationships that drain you or make you feel insignificant. You have the right to walk away from anything that no longer serves your happiness, peace, or personal growth. The moment you choose yourself over those who fail to value you is the moment you truly step into your power. You begin to heal, to rebuild, and to surround yourself with people who genuinely appreciate your presence. Letting go does not mean erasing the past, but it does mean refusing to let the past dictate your future. It is a bold and courageous step toward a life where you are loved, respected, and valued, starting with the love and respect you give yourself. People who truly care will never make you feel unwanted. One of the most important lessons in life is realizing that when someone truly cares about you, they will never make you question your importance in their life. They will not make you feel like an afterthought, nor will they treat you as an option. People who genuinely care will prioritize your presence, show appreciation for your efforts, and reciprocate the love and energy you give. They will not leave you wondering where you stand or make you chase after their attention. Instead, they will make you feel valued simply by being consistent, supportive, and present. On the other hand, when someone continuously makes you feel unwanted, ignored, or unappreciated, it is a sign that they do not truly care about you the way you care about them. No amount of effort, patience, or love can change that. It is easy to make excuses for their behavior, to convince yourself that they are just busy, going through a phase, or unaware of how their actions affect you. But the truth is, when someone truly values you, they make it known. You do not have to question it, overthink it, or constantly seek reassurance. A person who cares will show it through their actions, not just their words. They will check in on you, make time for you, and ensure you never feel neglected. They will respect your feelings, listen to you, and make an effort to maintain a meaningful connection. Understanding this can save you from chasing after people who do not deserve your time or energy. It allows you to set boundaries, to stop settling for relationships that make you feel invisible, and to focus on building connections with those who genuinely cherish your presence. You deserve to be in relationships where your love is met with the same level of devotion and appreciation. If someone repeatedly makes you feel unwanted, it is not your responsibility to prove your worth to them. It is your responsibility to walk away and find the people who will never make you feel that way. Your happiness should not depend on those who do not value you. It is easy to fall into the trap of believing that our happiness is tied to a specific person, especially when we care deeply about them. We convince ourselves that if they just gave us more attention, if they treated us better, or if they finally saw our worth, we would be happy. But the reality is, true happiness does not come from external validation. It comes from within. When we rely on people who do not value us to make us happy, we give them control over our emotions. Our mood fluctuates based on their actions, their words, and whether or not they acknowledge us. This is an exhausting and unhealthy way to live. Happiness should not be dependent on someone who does not make an effort to be part of our lives. Instead of placing our joy in the hands of others, we should take responsibility for our own happiness by focusing on self-love, personal growth, and meaningful experiences. When we stop depending on those who do not value us, we begin to see happiness as something we can create for ourselves. We start to invest in things that bring us joy, surround ourselves with people who uplift us, and engage in activities that fulfill us. The moment we take back control of our happiness is the moment we free ourselves from the emotional roller coaster of one-sided relationships. It is a liberating feeling to know that our joy is not determined by whether or not someone chooses to acknowledge us. We deserve to be happy, regardless of who stays or leaves. Our worth and our ability to experience happiness should never be dictated by someone else's actions or lack of appreciation. True fulfillment comes from recognizing that we are enough on our own and that our happiness is something we have the power to create. Some relationships are meant to teach you, not last forever. One of the most difficult truths to accept is that not every relationship is meant to be permanent. Some people enter our lives for a short time to teach us valuable lessons, to help us grow, and to show us things we need to learn about ourselves. These relationships, while temporary, play an important role in shaping who we are. They may teach us about self-worth, boundaries, resilience, or the importance of not settling for less than we deserve. However, problems arise when we try to hold on to people who were never meant to stay. We cling to memories, to the way things used to be, and to the hope that the relationship can return to what it once was. But sometimes the purpose of certain relationships is simply to guide us to the next chapter of our lives. Holding on to someone who has already fulfilled their purpose in your life only leads to pain and disappointment. Instead of viewing the end of a relationship as a loss, it can be seen as a lesson, one that prepares you for better, healthier, and more fulfilling connections in the future. Every person we encounter teaches us something, even if it is a hard lesson about letting go. The key is to appreciate the lessons they brought into our lives without forcing something that no longer serves us. When we accept that some relationships are not meant to last forever, we free ourselves from unnecessary heartache and make room for new people who align with our growth, values, and future. It is not a failure when a relationship ends. It is simply part of the journey of life, leading us towards something better. The people who belong in your life will never make you beg for their presence. A relationship should not feel like a constant struggle where you are always fighting for someone's attention, time, or commitment. The people who truly belong in your life will never make you question whether they want to be there. They will not disappear without explanation, ignore you when it is inconvenient for them, or make you feel like you are the only one making an effort. When someone genuinely values you, they will show it consistently. They will want to be in your life not because you begged for their presence, but because they choose to be there willingly. Many people spend too much time chasing after those who continuously pull away, hoping that if they try hard enough, the person will finally see their worth. But real connections do not require endless convincing. The right people will naturally reciprocate your energy, meet you halfway, and make you feel secure in their presence. When you have to beg for someone's attention, it is a sign that they are not truly invested in you. Letting go of those who do not prioritize you allows you to focus on building relationships with people who actually want to be in your life. The right people will never make you feel like you have to fight for a place in their world. They will make you feel wanted, appreciated, and valued without you having to ask. Respect yourself enough to walk away from those who do not appreciate you. Self-respect is one of the most important qualities a person can have. Yet it is often tested in relationships where appreciation is lacking. Many people continue to invest time and energy into individuals who do not reciprocate their efforts, hoping that one day things will change. They make excuses for neglect, justify indifference, and accept less than they deserve in the name of love, friendship, or loyalty. However, the truth is that allowing yourself to be in situations where you are not valued only diminishes your self-worth over time. The more you tolerate being overlooked, unappreciated, or taken for granted, the more you teach yourself that your needs and emotions are secondary. This mindset can lead to a cycle of seeking validation from those who are unwilling to provide it, constantly feeling like you need to prove your worth just to be acknowledged. But the reality is, no one should have to beg for appreciation or fight for basic respect. When you respect yourself, you recognize that your time, energy, and love are valuable, and you refuse to waste them on those who fail to see your worth. Walking away from those who do not appreciate you is not an act of selfishness, it is an act of self-love. It is a powerful statement that you are no longer willing to invest in relationships that drain you rather than uplift you. It is choosing peace over emotional turmoil, self-respect over desperation, and confidence over insecurity. When you walk away from those who do not appreciate you, you create space for people who will. You allow yourself to be surrounded by individuals who recognize your worth, value your presence, and reciprocate your kindness. You begin to build relationships that are based on mutual respect and genuine appreciation rather than one-sided effort. Respecting yourself enough to walk away is a difficult but necessary step toward personal well-being. It requires strength, courage, and the ability to prioritize yourself over unhealthy attachments. But in the end, it leads to a life where you no longer settle for less than what you deserve. When you choose to respect yourself, you set the standard for how others should treat you, and you attract relationships that honor your value rather than diminish it. In life, we must remember that our time, energy, and love are precious. Holding on to those who do not value us only hinders our growth and happiness. Walking away from one-sided relationships is not a sign of weakness. It is a declaration of self-worth. True connections do not require endless effort to prove our value. They thrive on mutual respect, appreciation, and care. Let go of those who forget you and make room for those who cherish your presence. The moment you choose yourself is the moment you open the door to a life filled with genuine love, peace, and fulfillment.